Would you like to turn your idea into an invention, but you don't know where to start? Every day, people just like you come up with great ideas that have the potential to be successful products. Sometimes even by accident. The problem is knowing how to get your idea out of your head and onto the shelf. And there are plenty of mistakes and scams to be avoided. What you need is a map to lead you step by step through the invention development process. Let us show you how to conceive, prototype, protect, refine, and monetize your invention. Inventing Success, your guide to becoming a successful inventor.
Welcome back to Inventing Success. I'm standing out here squinting in the bright Southern California sunshine to prove a point. The point is that ideas for inventions can be found all around us. In fact, today's invention finds its motivation in the very sunshine that's making us squint right now. Let's take a look. One of life's great pleasures is feeling the warmth of the sun on your body. Everybody enjoys getting a suntan, and we look and feel better when we're not pasty white. But along with a suntan come tan lines, and these are not always a good thing. Everybody's got them, not everybody wants them. And that spells opportunity to the perceptive inventor. Today's invention is the Tanee Tanline Eraser. It solves the problem of tan lines that are not desirable. Is that a big deal? Not really. I mean, it's a big deal because a lot of people have the problem and have a need for that solution. But I wanted to talk about it today for a very specific reason. And that is, it illustrates the point that not only are there opportunities for invention all around, but inventions don't have to be complicated. This is a very, very simple invention. Basically, it involves repositioning an existing product and putting it in an innovative delivery system to create a completely new category of product with real perceived benefits on the part of the consumer. Why is that important? Because you don't have to have $1 million high-tech laboratory to come up with inventions. You don't have to do sophisticated software and electronics development. You don't have to build injection molds and do all kinds of crazy, fancy, expensive, time-consuming things. There are opportunities for small, simple inventions that everybody can do. So this is the final packaged product, which you can buy today in drugstores, health and beauty outlets, and so on and so forth. Basically, it is a single-use disposable tan line eraser. What is a tan line eraser? Well, I actually happened to be working for a company that was in the sunless tanning products business already when I came up with this idea. And I was working on innovative packaging and delivery systems for their existing sunless tanning products. And it occurred to me that while I was coming up with a better version of their existing products, which would serve the 2% or so of the population who actually use sunless tanning products, it dawned on me that the real opportunity was to figure out how to reach the 98% of the population that doesn't use sunless tanning products. And that's when it occurred to me that tan lines and the ability to get rid of tan lines might be a much bigger opportunity than the whole sunless tanning business. So who has use for a tan line eraser? Pretty much everybody. I mean, the vision that comes to mind right away is a woman spends the day on the beach, she's wearing a bikini, she has shoulder straps, ends up with tan lines under the shoulder straps, wants to go out to an event that evening wearing a strapless gown, and she's got big, very conspicuous tan lines there. That's an easy one, that's obvious. But there's lots of other situations and scenarios where people might have tan lines that could prove embarrassing. You could have a big corporate executive who spends the weekend playing golf, wearing his golf gloves, and ends up with pale white hands and brown fingertips and brown forearms. That's a situation where a tan line eraser can be an invaluable asset. Anyone who's doing any kind of outdoor activity, particularly sporting activities. Cyclists have very specific shorts that can give you rather peculiar tan lines. Golfers have gloves and sometimes have peculiar tan lines on their feet. A perfect application is if you spend a lot of time outside and you wear sunglasses. You've all seen the raccoon eyes phenomenon where people have white areas around their eyes, over the bridge of the nose and across their temples. That's a perfect application for this product. The point is that there is a vast market for this. This is a great example of something where people probably aren't even aware of the problem. But once you point it out to them, it suddenly becomes the most important thing in the world. So keep your eyes open, look around. Life will tell you what the opportunities for invention are. So what did I do? I took a look at what problems people have with tan lines and figured out how we can redeploy the existing products, the existing technology, meaning the chemicals and formulations that my client already was using to create all over tans without sunshine, and use them to solve this specific problem of tan line elimination. So there you have it. It's very simple. Basically, we looked at an opportunity, which is lots of people have tan lines and don't want them, and we combine that with an innovative or novel idea, which is the repositioning of an existing product, which is the sunless tanning product, and there you are, invention. The next step is reducing this to practice or proof of concept. How did I do that? Well, I asked my client to provide me with just a jar of the raw material for the sunless tanning formula, and I took that product with just like a foam paintbrush, and I started doing some experiments on skin to see exactly how it would work and how precisely I could apply it and what would happen if I painted outside the lines and so forth. And soon figured out that there was a right concentration of formula, and we looked at whether we should use a formulation with tint or without tint and so forth, and determined that this was actually an idea that could work. Once we had figured that out, we did some research to find out if there were other products out there that were doing the same thing, and found that there weren't, and we did apply for a patent. So we're still patent pending at this point, so we're not going to discuss that.
To protect confidential information, Inventing Success does not discuss the contents of a patent until it issues.
Something I'd like to say about the patent process is that when you apply for a patent, and this is a very good illustration, it's very important not simply to protect your idea and to make sure that you're not infringing somebody else's invention, but also to attempt to create what's called an estate of intellectual property around the core underlying idea. What does that mean? It means that if you have a particular embodiment for a product that happens to be a certain type of package and a certain type of applicator and a certain type of formulation and so forth, that's one possible solution to the problem of eliminating tan lines. But there are many other possible solutions to that same problem, and it's very important that you think of them and include them in your patent or additional patent applications so that you have built a protective buffer of intellectual property around the core underlying idea. The reason that's important is because if you go to the time, trouble, and expense to commercialize your particular invention, and people recognize that there's a big opportunity there, they're going to try and figure out a way to get a piece of that pie. And they can do it legally if they can solve that same problem in a different way without infringing your intellectual property. So, if you create this buffer or a state of intellectual property around your core idea, you have built a protective zone that nobody can enter into without infringing your intellectual property, and you end up with a much safer, better protected, and therefore more valuable position in the marketplace. So once we had the concept, and once we had a prototype that demonstrated that we could with precision apply sunless tanning product to a tan line and cause the white or lighter colored skin to tan sufficiently to blend in with the surrounding tan skin and basically disappear, therefore a tan line eraser, it was time to make this prototype into a product. So that was actually a relatively simple and straightforward exercise, and it all came down to just identifying a vendor who happens to sell this very unique little package, which is, I believe, also patented. And the idea is that we have this tube that's filled with our sunless tanning formulation, and it has an applicator felt here. It's much like a magic marker. And the idea is that when this is saturated with the product, you can draw and very precisely follow lines and contours so that you don't have any risk of going outside the lines and so forth. But one of the very nice things about this package is that it has a seal in the neck area. And so this is completely sealed, and the felt is not saturated until you break that seal. And the way you do that is by squeezing this neck. Once you squeeze that neck, it breaks a little, I believe it's a glass ampule inside, which allows the product to flow into the tip, saturate the tip, and now you can apply it. Because there's more in this package than you're likely to use in a single application, it has a nice replaceable cover that keeps the tip clean and keeps it from drying out, keeps the material from leaking out or evaporating, and you have a neat, inexpensive, multi-use package. So that was it. I mean, it's not a particularly complicated product. It's not a time-consuming product. It's not a technologically challenging product. As I said earlier, the core of this invention was redeploying an idea, a technology, a product that existed in one area of endeavor to another opportunity in an unrelated field. So once we had a completely developed product, the next step is to figure out how to monetize it, how to get this into the hands of consumers and make money off of it. As I've made clear on previous occasions, my preference is to license inventions rather than manufacture and market them myself, and that's what I did in this instance. As it happens, I was already working with a client who's in the sunless tanning products business, and they actually saw how big an opportunity that this was to expand beyond the relatively narrow confines of the sunless tanning business and be able to reach customers who would never consider a sunless tanning product. So this was a pretty linear, straightforward licensing agreement that I did with my client, and they are selling it and paying me royalties. I hope you find this to be encouraging because lots of people are concerned about how long it will take and how much money they'll have to spend and how technical invention development can be. But this is a perfect illustration of the fact that the simplest ideas can be very successful inventions. Good luck with all of your inventing.